This is Chris K with your Peak Fitness Day 1 Strength Workout. Alright, the purpose of today's workout or circuit is to work on what we call our primary lifts. These are the exercises that are going to kind of be the drivers of our physical development over the next 4 weeks. And the goal of this workout is to make these exercises harder in some way with each session. So for example, if I'm doing a push-up on a chair in week 1, if I can do 8 reps, I want to make it harder in some way. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a rep range. I want you to perform between 6 to 8 reps of each exercise. If you could do less than 6, you need to make it easier in some way, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Or if you can do more than 8, we're going to make it harder in some way. All right? The goal for today is to get 3 to 4 rounds of the 4 exercises that I'm going to demonstrate. All right? We're going to set our clock for 10 minutes, and we're going to perform these exercises back to back. But keep in mind, today is not about cardio, it's about strength. So we want to allow ourselves enough time to recover to where our arms and our legs are not fatigued for the next round when we're doing this. So if you need to wait an extra 30 seconds to allow yourself the fatigue to leave your chest or whatever we're doing, do so. Okay, you're going to get plenty of cardio throughout the week, but today we want to work on our strength to improve muscle tone. Alright, so for our exercises today, our first exercise is a push-up. Alright, and I'm just going to demonstrate a couple of ways to make this harder and easier. Right, the easiest way to do a push-up, right? What we start our beginners with is just a wall push-up. Okay, with a wall push-up, I'm up here in my hands. Okay, I'm up here in my toes as well. There's a straight line from my head down to my feet, and I'm just pushing up and down. All right, this is probably going to be pretty easy for you, but keep in mind that as I'm doing this, everything is moving down together. All right, I'm not arching my back, I'm not leading with my chest. Looks like I'm pushing up while I'm keeping my back flat like a table. Right, if that's easier, we can move down to something like 2 chairs. So I've spaced out 2 chairs here. I'm going to come down and go push-up position, bring my chest down to parallel, and come back up. All right, this is harder because now I'm having to bear more weight of my body. Okay, so from here, if you can do 8 reps on the chairs or on a lower surface, okay, then we can move to something like a step or even lower, or the floor. All right, the floor, again, what I'm looking for is bring the chest down to the ground, come back up, again, back as flat like a table. And what may happen is you'll be able to do 3 on the floor, and maybe that's it. Okay, if that is the case, what you can do is sort of an intermediary step, is just focus on lowering with control. So rather than pushing up and down, I'm just going to lower down, count to 3, okay, and then start over. Alright, so if you get stuck at any of these levels where you can't push up and down for the full number of reps, do maybe the number that you can do with good form, like 3 well, and then do those lowering exercises. Keep in mind you can also break it up. So you do 2, maybe rest for 15 seconds, do 2 more like that. Okay? So for our next exercise, we have what is called a bodyweight split squat. Alright, with a split squat, I'm just going to come into a split stance here, drop my back knee to the floor, and come back up. What I want to think about doing is staying nice and tall, not leaning forward excessively, thinking about keeping my weight shifted into the front heel here, and just dropping straight up and down. My knee is staying behind my toe, and it's like my head is tethered to the ceiling. Now the first level of this would be to just put your hand on the wall, drop up and down. Okay, from here, we can just move to a body weight situation, where again, you're coming up and down. Right, and then from there, what you can do is start to add some external loading. So what we've done is we've just put some weight here in a book bag or a backpack. I'm just going to hold this out in front of me in a goblet position and come up and down. If you don't have access to a bag, what we can do as an alternative would be just a slight jump. So I start at the bottom, jump up, come down to the ground. But in either case, the goal is if you can do more than 8, move up in some way, all right? For our next exercise, we have what is called a backpack row. With the backpack row, what I've done is gotten either a bag or a backpack, and I've put some weight in there. Okay, I've got about maybe 20 pounds in here right now. What I want to think about doing, my back is flat like a table, I'm just pulling into my pocket, pausing, and coming back together. Now I can get up to 150 pounds of stuff into this backpack, okay? But for you, putting things like maybe spare dumbbells that you have at home, books, cans, whatever you've got, put this in here and you can weight it up pretty well. Okay, and again, looking for 8 reps on each arm, and then we're going to move to our last exercise, okay, which is a shoulder elevated hip lift. Okay, with the shoulder elevated hip lift, what I'm going to do is, again, put weight in the backpack. I'm going to bring my back onto a chair or a table, push my butt up into the air, put this on top of my hips, tighten my butt cheeks, tighten my abs, and come back down. All right, now this exercise is for my butt versus anywhere else. All right, so you should be feeling this in your butt versus your hamstrings or the front of your legs so much. Okay, if you don't feel that, then remove the weight to make it easier and just go body weight. Okay, once you can get that contraction, once you're feeling that in your butt, think about adding some weight, putting the backpack on top of your hips, hold the top for 2 to 3 seconds, come back down. Again, I'm looking for 8 reps. All right, so we've got, to review, we have our push-up, we have our split squat, we have our backpack row, and we have our hip lift on a chair or a bench or whatever you may have. Okay, so again, perform those with proper form. 3 to 4 rounds is what we're looking for there. 6 to 8 reps. If you can do more than 8, you make it harder. If you can do less than 6, you make it easier. If you need exercise substitutions, feel free to email me. Enjoy your work.